Welcome to the Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where Katie and Kevin talk about a movie.
I'm very excited about this.
It's one-on-one.
Just one-on-one.
This is a very special episode because our guest is someone that you hear every single episode. She's been on before, but now this is like full time to shine.
I'm kind of in the mix here.
Yeah.
Really. I feel really good. Do you want to explain like how we got here a little bit?
Yes. So I took the B63. I took
Great line.
I took the B63. There's an app on my phone that tells you exactly where the bus is. Okay. So here's what happened. You guys listened when I said we should watch Grease.
And I feel that a lot of people responded positively. I don't know that they did.
But they were like, oh yeah, that'd be fun.
I feel that they wanted it.
Yeah. And Cory was not interested.
No, he was like actively angry about it.
He's very actively angry against it. Cory's not a very like prejudiced person.
No.
Except when it comes to musicals or against John Travolta. I don't know what it is.
I mean, how are Cory and I friends if he feels that way about both things?
I mean...
Or you.
I'll tell you what. We went and saw Hamilton. He was like kicking and screaming. And then afterwards, he's like, that was pretty good. Okay. Now, Cory is in Italy right now.
Yes.
With his girlfriend at a very fancy wedding. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Me and John and Cory did Devil Wears Prada.
They did.
When I was on my father-son trip and then also in Hurricane Ian.
I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Yeah. And then John was busy. I came over the other day to hang out with you guys. And then John was busy. John's like, Tuesday, we can pod, but I have this thing. And then me and Katie figured out our heist.
We just looked at each other and I just feel like I just heard that. And I just knew.
You just knew.
It was going to be Grease.
And listen, the parents are away and the mice are going to play.
Kevin and Katie are going to play.
Kevin and Katie are going to play. So we are doing, I will say this. I feel like it's going to be, well, we told the idea to John and John approved it. You approved it. I approved it. But
yeah.
there's still part of me though that can just imagine getting text from Cory that's just like, I just feel like when we talk about the content of the podcast, we should all be on the same page. Like, what if
I can't wait to see how he responds. Well, I'm excited to find out how we're going to reveal it to him as well.
Yeah, I know. We've thought about this. We're going rogue. We're doing an illegal thing on the podcast. This is all, and then I think Cory will get to enjoy it. I think I bet he'll listen to it.
I bet he'll love musicals.
Yeah.
After this.
Well, I don't know. I haven't watched. Okay. So we're watching Grease. And the reason why we brought it up is because I was like, I think it's as much a rom-com as 10 Things I Hate About You.
I would say so. There's summer lovin'. I think so.
It's a classic love story.
It's kind of like a very original rom-com.
Yeah.
It's before Nora Ephron.
Yeah. And it's like, we watched Clueless.
Yeah.
We watched 10 Things I Hate About You. This is set in LA probably.
You know what? I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out. I mean, it's the classic story of change everything about yourself for the one you love, which I feel like has been repeated.
Yeah.
Many times.
Yeah. In real life and in
right,
real
exactly.
life. So I haven't seen Grease for a long time, but I'm very familiar with it because I did play Kaneki in high school.
That's what I was thinking. And I was happy because I am less familiar with the stage version because I know they're different. So I'm excited to, hear your little tidbits.
Well, I've got a lot. So here's we're gonna watch Grease in two parts. I don't know which one this will be on, but go to our Patreon for the other half. We'll probably do one on. Yes, go to our Patreon if you want to hear the rest of our Grease. But usually, Katie, before we get into it, we should give some context of what happened. Okay? Do you know what year this came out?
I don't.
Give a guess.
Oh gosh. I think it came out in the 80s.
1978.
Ooh, okay.
1978.
Okay.
Okay. It was June 16th, 1978. Grease was critically and commercially successful.
Okay.
Soundtrack album. It was the second best-selling album of the year that year.
Wow.
And guess what? Whoa. Second best-selling album behind the soundtrack the year before was Saturday Night Fever. So dude, John Travolta is a fucking legend.
Just killing it out there.
Okay, this is in the Library of Congress. Okay, listen, Cory, this is culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant according to the U.S. government.
Okay, Cory, this was the right choice for the pod. We're helping everyone learn.
Yeah. Okay, I want you to guess how much money this made.
Oh gosh, can you give me a parameter?
Yes. It is. Well, the parameters are.
I say this because I'm terrible at guessing. John's probably listening, and he's like, "Oh, don't ask her to guess."
It is a lot.
I'm gonna say that it made $10 million.
Oh my gosh. Are you serious?
I'm terrible at guessing.
You said it. I just didn't anticipate how truly bad you'd be at it. No, it made $341 million.
That seems better.
And you'll love this. Oh my gosh. Big connection. In the United States and globally, it became the highest grossing musical ever at the time, eclipsing the 13-year-old record held by Sound of Music. And
I love that.
What about Sound of Music?
I love Sound of, I've been in it.
I know.
I played Maria.
You didn't love it. You were.
I was. The hills were alive.
Yeah.
With the sound of my music.
Did you have to dye your hair blonde?
No.
Because you know when they do dumb stuff like that, like just because it's in the movie?
Mm-hmm. No. But I did wear these like braids that were twisted up around my head. It was very Austrian.
Yeah. So wait, isn't that weird that they're 13 years apart? Because doesn't it just seem
Sound
like
of Music seems so much older.
Yeah. It seems like it's from, I guess since it's about Nazis.
And they don't have a lot of sex jokes.
In
there.
Doe, a deer, wink, wink.
I mean, y'all didn't see my production.
It was like Rocky Horror level.
Definitely.
Okay. It got re-released a year later. Because it was like such a big hit. So it made $5 million like the year after they just re-released it.
Now, see, that's what I was more leaning towards is that re-release.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I was
yeah. You were thinking about the 79 re-release box office. 4.5. Yeah. It remained the highest grossing live action musical until 2012 when it was overtaken by
2012. High School Musical? Oh, Les
Miserables. But think about that. That's like 2012 money. So Grease is still way more successful.
That's true.
And it remained years, blah, 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 blah. A further reissue, the 40th anniversary in 2018 came out and it grossed $1 million. People are still loving they're still greasing. Okay. So, and they have another reissue took place after Olivia Newton-John died this past August.
How much did that make?
I don't know, but it does say following her death with $1. Okay, $1 per ticket went to breast cancer research. So that's cool.
That's good.
So I hope they sold a bunch of tickets. All right. So the reviews were good. It's kind of cool. Wait, the New York Times critic pointed out that the film was somewhat in the manner of Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
That doesn't really make sense.
Which recalls the science fiction films of the 50s in a manner more elegant and benign. Oh, okay. So I guess Close Encounters is from the 50s. Well, that's one of the weird things. This is a 70s movie, but it's set in the 50s. Yeah.
But it definitely has like a 70s vibe to it. At least I think I remember that.
Well, also Grease, the song, Grease is the Word is a Bee Gees song.
Oh, it is? I thought it was written for the movie.
It was written for the movie, but it's a Bee Gees song written for the movie. That's why the style of it is way more
interesting.
And I wonder if they did that after Saturday Night Fever.
Maybe, because it does kind of have that same vibe.
Like, yeah. And they're like, John can get Barry on the phone.
70s.
Yeah.
70s dude.
Okay, so before we see it, Do you have a favorite song? Do you have anything like you're like, because I haven't watched it in probably since high school. And I don't even think I watched much of it. I think I was like making out with my girlfriend when it was on in the background.
I think I've definitely watched it as an adult. You know what? I love the song that Rizzo sings. There were worse things I could do. Love it. It's so good. Because I just like love Rizzo. And I think I love her because she was, I was like never going to play her.
Yeah.
I would always be.
Because she's just such a, you were such a Sandy.
Through and through. I mean, I never played it, but.
Did you, I feel like because I remember when I was in high school, I was Kanicki junior year. And then I like really wanted to, because we did West Side Story my senior year. And I was like, I don't want to be Riff. I don't want to be the comic or whatever. I was like, I want to be a serious role. And I got to be Tony in West Side Story and I was so bad.
No.
It's so hard. I mean, I was probably okay, but I mean, it is like one of the hardest roles to sing and I'm not that great.
It is a difficult role to sing.
I'll find a clip of it and show you, but I stand on my tippy toes during Maria every time I get to a high note and I'm like, I do Maria, 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 and I crack on the high note.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. But all that to say, I feel like if you were Sandy your sophomore year, or a role like that, if you were like Sound of Music junior year, then your senior year, you could be like, I want to be Rizzo.
Well, you know, I actually did that because we're getting into the musical theater because my senior year we did.
This is a safe place for that.
Safe place for our musical theater degrees to run wild. Our senior year of high school, we did Into the Woods and I was like, I'm going to be the baker's wife because I have a whole career ahead of me of playing Cinderella, which I played professionally 4 times. I was not wrong about that. And I was like, man, I just need to be like a little bit of the slutty character. I mean, if you can call her like character a little bit of a
total whore.
She makes out with the prince. And I was like, I'll never get to do that.
Yeah.
And I was right about that. I played a lot of ingenues. Maria doesn't do anything fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it is fun, but she doesn't get to like.
She doesn't get to. Rizzo's the best.
Rizzo's the best.
I'm excited. I'm already excited for some of Stockard Channing's classic zingers.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we're going to go watch Grease and we'll be back to break it down with y'all. This has been Kevin and Katie. Hope you're enjoying this. We're going to get into all your favorite Grease moments in just a little bit. Take it away, John.
Grease, directed by Randall Kleiser. Experience the friendships, romances, and adventures of a group of high school kids in the 1950s. Welcome to the singing and dancing world of Grease, the most successful movie musical of all time. A wholesome exchange student, played by Olivia Newton-John, and a leather-clad Danny, played by John Travolta, have a summer romance. But will it cross click lines? And now, back to the Pink Ladies.
And we are back.
Back and ready to talk about Grease Lightning.
What is the word?
Oh, Grease is the word. It's the word that you've heard.
And it's not you, it's not me.
That song came on and I was like, man, if you do not just like get jazzed.
And it's got this great like cartoon.
I love that montage. And you know, watching it as an adult, I was like, oh, I'm like understanding some of these cultural references.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty interesting to watch. I was like, oh, I never knew what any of this meant before.
Also, have you seen the movie American Graffiti?
I have. It's been a long time.
Yeah. It's another one of like, it kind of makes sense why this movie is so huge because it's like the songs are catchy and they have the big numbers. But American Graffiti was a big hit. That's George Lucas before Star Wars. But this has all like, it has the nostalgia of like the old world, like the 50s world, and it's a high school movie. It's just, listen, it's not my favorite movie ever, but it holds up.
I totally agree. I was fully expecting to watch it and be like, this feels a little cringy, or this is just like not as fun. Immediately, I was in.
And John Travolta's just a movie star.
Well, I know.
It's so funny because he's not a joke now, but he is like easy for people to make fun of.
Right.
And I remember in all the interviews, like because his like career got revived because of Pulp Fiction.
Right.
And whenever Quentin Tarantino talked about that, he's like, he was a star. And you just see it. Like
Yes. I mean, just like leading the pack with Summer Lovin', looking so attractive. Oh, so
attractive.
Him and Kaneki, I was like, oh, both of them. Very, very attractive.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, so let's break down what's going down. The first thing that happens is it just cold open on Danny Zuko and Sandy. Does she have a last name? Sandy?
I think is it D?
Sandra D. Look at me, I'm Sandra D. Yeah, and she's from Australia, which is that's the first difference.
Right, not in the show.
In the stage, they just got Olivia Newton-John, and they're like, we'll just make her Australian.
Right.
Which works. But I did feel like, I'm like, when did Australia become like we have Australian listeners, so please send us your history. But I was like, when did it become like a country?
You were wondering about that as we were watching?
Yeah, I was like, when did it become like a place? Because I know that like England sent all their like, criminals and stuff there. And then I was like, when did it become like a democracy with like a cute girl like Olivia Newton-John who's coming to visit?
Well, Australian listeners, we need info.
I want to know what was going down in the 50s that Sandra came as a student.
Right.
Okay, so they're having the best time. And then Grease is the word, cartoon montage.
Love it.
And then we show up. Summer's over, babe.
Rydell High, first day.
First day.
Back at it.
We have like the lady doing announcements. We have some announcement comedy.
Oh, I loved that. There's some schedules. It brings you back to like what the time we're at right now. It's like big, we're a month into school, but back to school. I know people were counting the days till Christmas break.
Yeah. And they're just like, of course, all these kids happen to be 36.
They all look quite old.
Quite old. Shouldn't be in high school, but everyone's doing their goofs and the gangs are back together. The gangs are
the Pink Ladies and the T-Birds.
And the T-Birds.
Oh, I love them.
And they're not violent gangs. They're not criminal organizations.
No.
They're just friends that wear the same outfits.
I think we just need to bring that back.
Yes.
Like, why don't you guys have matching jackets?
Well, I think that's what podcasts are now. Podcasts are like little gangs that it's just like, there's just like, we get together, just like bring over the microphone and set up we just talk.
We kind of strut around.
Yeah. We have our own account. We post stuff that we do.
Yeah. It's a gang.
Yeah. So
a good gang.
This is not a podcast. It's a gang. And we have a lady in a gang.
Love it.
We have a little kid in our gang now. He's going to grow up and he'll be part of the gang.
I know. Mickey's mad that he didn't get to watch any.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So first day, then they're recounting their summers. They're like, what'd you do this summer? And he's like, I kind of met a girl,
Gosh, it's so ridiculous. I mean, you're right. He is truly a movie star, but it is also just like the most, like, I just loved that moment. I mean, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but I loved that moment at the pep rally when he sees Sandy and he's like, Sandy. And it's just a normal human.
It's one of my favorite. I say it all the time.
Right. As I was saying that, I was like, I've heard Kevin reference this.
I just think Sandy.
It's so ridiculous.
And it's so like whatever his accent is in this is like so like iconic. He's so funny.
Well, right. But what is the accent?
I think it's just his like cocky high school guy.
But I just think I hadn't really ever noticed that scene. And then when all the other T-Birds like lean in and look at him like, excuse me, what?
And then
he feels that. And then he's like, oh, rockin'.
Rock. And then she's like, Danny, who are you? He's like, that's my name. Don't wear it out. and his friends laugh so hard. They're terrible. Like, oh my gosh. Dude, you just roasted. So, okay. Yeah. So basically they're like, this is what happened. I won't burn my joke on the podcast, but I do have two really great Grease jokes that always do very well.
I feel that I've heard them.
Yeah, you've probably heard them before. If you've been to any of my shows.
I have been to a couple.
I don't know. I'm wondering if I like them so much and if I actually listen to the audience that like no one laughs. It's just I think they're hilarious.
But you know what? You love Grease.
I love Grease. And people, so they sing Summer Lovin'. That's where my jokes come from. Which is basically him being like, this is this girl and he's bragging in front of his friends like, and Sandra is like, it was love. It was love. And then after that, we go to the pep rally. Mm-hmm. And she gets like brought in. She's the new girl. She's cute.
She's a cheerleader.
She gets brought in. Rizzo is like, wants to be her friend, but is also like that cool friend that like that's kind of like malicious.
Right. I mean, I think the wheels have been turning this whole time.
Yeah.
Because let's not forget that Rizzo, I think, has had a backstory with Danny. Because they talk about that a little bit where she's like, Danny Zuko's looking good this year. And she's like, ancient history.
Oh.
I picked up on that this time too.
Interesting.
Oh. Have they had a thing?
Well, the thing that makes total sense.
So I think she's just like kind of being a mean girl.
Yeah, total mean girl.
So
I need to, if we ever get Tina Fey on the pod, we need to be like, were you inspired by Rizzo from Grease?
Certainly she was.
Yeah.
Oh, she'll be on it any day now.
Okay. So they're hanging out and then she's like, I fell in love with this boy. His name was Danny Zuko. And then Rizzo's like, oh my gosh. So she's clearly she heard all the stuff and she's like, I'm going to embarrass Danny. Mm-hmm. They spring it on her when this moment happens. Rizzo's like, hey, Danny, we got a surprise. And then they push out Sandy and Sandy's, oh my gosh, I'm so in love. How are you?
And Danny is too for a minute.
Oh, totally.
So happy to see her.
Sandy. Well, I thought you went back to Australia.
You do a great Danny Zuko.
Well, thank you. That's one of my favorites. So then he does the thing, rocking and rolling. What's her name? Don't wear it out. And then she's like devastated. And then he's just like playing it cool. And then all his friends are like, dude, you're so fucking cool. Then they're at sleepovers.
Right.
Is that the next scene?
I believe so.
Oh, sorry.
They're trying to get Sandy. They want to like pierce her ears.
They try and pierce her ears.
Joint.
Yeah. Is that a joint or a cigarette?
Oh, I thought it was a joint.
Oh.
But I might be wrong.
No, I mean, I think it was a cigarette, but let's say it's a joint.
All right.
Let's raise the stakes. Because everyone smoked inside back then, which is nasty.
No, they're just up in that slumber party smoking, whatever it was.
If we need to find a connection between this and Sex and the City, it's because in both movies they smoke inside.
Okay. Definitely.
Okay. So, what do we got? Then, okay. So they're at the sleepover. On the Wikipedia, it says, Danny resumes his role as leader of the T-Birds, a greaser gang. Yeah. So they do the sleepover, and then are they cutting back and forth between, then Kinnicky gets his car.
Well, yeah, wait, when does Grease, because Grease Lightning has to come in there too.
It's right after that.
It's right after. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think the car thing happens and then we go to the sleepover.
Oh, yeah. It's Grease Lightning, which is freaking banger. The first three songs
are just
Grease is the word, epic. Summer Lovin', and then Grease Lightning.
Also, I don't think I ever noticed that he, as like the da-na, da-na-na, it's like the like front part is coming down. He like grabs some cellophane and like rubs it on his crotch.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? And I Googled it.
Oh, for a condom?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which that's like, I mean, I guess Kinnicky needed it later, but I was like, oh, with the whole thing, I was like, this is dirty.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm here for it.
Yeah. I mean, they don't make them like they used to.
Definitely not.
Okay. Also, so basically, okay, at the Pink Ladies pajama party, then we're at the pajama party, and then this is kind of close to where we end because they sing "Look at Me, I'm Sandra D." Rizzo kind of goes full mean girl and gets everyone to make fun of her, and Sandra comes out and is like, Sandy comes out, she's like, "Are you making fun of me, Rizzo? Oh my gosh, no." No, don't make fun of me.
Her accent's really evolved.
Yeah, I'm sorry to our Australian listeners, and I know we have some, so sorry. All right, then Danny apologizes to Sandy, okay, for kind of brushing her off the night earlier, because he still likes her.
I think he still likes her.
And then they go on a real date.
Yeah.
Which is they go just like have some dinner. And then there's like this montage of Danny getting into sports.
Yeah, I don't really remember. I didn't remember that before, but it's very strange. He's like jumping over the hurdle.
Yeah, and he like wrestles a guy, and then he's like doing like football.
Why do you think they put that in there?
I guess it's fun. It almost seems like in the script they were just like, montage of Danny Zuko doing like funny, because they do get some like laughs out of it, but it is sort of just like a weird sketch that
I don't feel like it moves the plot.
It doesn't at all.
Forward.
I wonder if I'm trying to think if later it has, but I guess the only thing I found interesting. Did you ever watch the show Freaks and Geeks? Mm-hmm. Great show, and in it, Judd Apatow talked about how like geeks when he was growing up like weren't smart. Like some were just like losers. Right. They were just geeks and they weren't even good at school. And this I found kind of interesting because I was like, oh yeah, like they're cool gang members. They're not good at sports and they're not smart. They're just gang people.
Well, no, like I was thinking that too while I was watching. So I was like, nobody seems to be doing very well at school. I'm a little concerned for all their futures.
Yeah. I guess
senior year.
Yeah, I guess their life is like smoking cigs.
Yeah.
And being cool.
I guess.
And dancing.
And being very talented performer.
Being very talented performers. You know what? They have a bright future ahead of them. I take it back. They're actually very good. And then after the sports montage, they go to like the soda fountain and they're about to have a real date. And then everyone interrupts, but it's kind of sweet because they're kind of all having fun together.
Yeah.
And
I like seeing the Pink Ladies and the T-Birds like kind of be buds. They are friends.
They're all high school kids hanging out, riffing at the local soda jerk shop.
And I feel like there's like I was thinking this too. It's almost like those are those first moments that you get to like play at being an adult.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like having fights, but they're all sort of like they're all sort of like, this is something I maybe heard on a TV show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And they're busting each other's balls and they're flirting.
Yeah.
And they're like causing a ruckus.
Right. It's just
like in high school.
And, like being an adult for the first time.
Yeah.
Except you're just not an adult.
You know, where did you do that? What was the restaurant you did that at?
Oh gosh. Steak and Shake.
Yeah. Steak and Shake was huge.
Oh, I feel like I put French fries in those bottles of the peppers so many nights. Why did I do that? That was a weird thing.
Because you were a pink lady. You were being bad. You were an adult.
I was just like, I'm an adult. I'm going to put French fries in this thing.
There's so many things that you do, and you're just like, what? Like,
why? One time I trashed a Denny's bathroom.
Really?
I don't know why. I was really drunk.
In high school?
No, in college.
Okay.
But still, why'd I do that?
I don't know.
We used to hang out at Denny's a lot too.
Yeah, Denny's. Yeah, we would go to Perkins, and all my friends would smoke inside. I wouldn't smoke, and I would
smoking inside.
Yeah, and I mean, it was crazy. We'd just go there and drink coffee,
just hang out,
It was awesome.
It was fun to just hang out.
Yeah. What are you doing? No phones.
No phone. Right. It just harkens back to a different time.
Just hang out.
Mickey will never know.
I know
that.
I know. I like my phone, but I don't even know how in high school we have found out things were happening.
I mean, I think we would just call each other.
Yeah.
On the phone.
Yeah. And then it was like, these people are here.
Yeah.
So they're doing that. And then Kaniki and Rizzo, right before this, I forgot to say, are having sex. The condom breaks and they have sex anyway. Because, come on. They're horny.
Car.
You're in the car.
They've just been backed into by Scarface, Craterface.
Yeah, Craterface.
That guy.
Poor guy.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I remember being traumatized by that when I first saw it as a kid. I was like, oh.
I mean, he looks significantly older than the rest of them, which is saying a lot.
Craterface got held back.
He's at least 50.
And then Kenickie and Rizzo, like Danny and Sandy have kind of a successful date. They're connecting. Mm-hmm. They're having fun. Sandy's a little scared because she's like, what if at this dance off they don't dance in Australia like you do here, you know?
She's a little worried.
And then everyone like kind of trickles out. Kenickie's like, hey, you have money to pay for this? And she's like, what's your fucking problem? And he's like, what's your problem? And then she throws a milkshake on him. And then he storms out. They break up. And then Frenchie is there. She has horrible pink hair. And
she's recently dropped out of high school.
Yeah, dropped out of high school. And she's not even going to be good at beauty school because her hair is like totally pink.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at.
Oh, I love Beauty School Dropout. Such a good number.
That's the next
bangers.
All good songs.
I know.
Okay, so where should we start? Have you ever had a summer love?
Oh.
I had a girl I met at a church camp, and we sent letters back and forth for like...
That's so romantic.
Pictures and everything.
Oh, now see, that harkens back again to another time. You would never do that now.
Yeah. She we sent letters back and forth, and she I had a few pictures of her. I was like, I never saw her again, but like those pictures at the time, I was like, she's so beautiful.
Have you ever tried to look her up on Facebook?
No, I don't even know.
No, don't do it.
No, I don't. I don't think she would feel the same way. She'd be like, ugh.
Don't look me up.
Yeah.
Okay. How old were you?
I mean, that was like straight up like 7th grade. Okay. That was like super young.
Oh.
If it was high school, I mean, there's actually some girls from high school that I like went out with or like dated that look insane. I'm like, wow, you guys, but I did great in high school.
Like, look at me.
Yeah, there's a few that I'm just like, oh my gosh. My sister sent me a picture of one girl and I was like, oh my gosh, she's beautiful.
I'm glad she's doing so well.
Yeah,
all of them.
Yeah, all the girls, all my loves
are doing great. I'm so glad to hear that. I definitely had some summer loves, like some summer stock, like showman.
Oh yeah.
There's just nothing better than summer stock showmance. I had a couple of those. So fun. And just everybody else gets like into it. And there's like other romances too. And so then you like go out together. Just the most fun.
Yeah. There was a girl in that I was just like, I had one line in a Shakespeare play and she was like the lead. So like at first, like we weren't evenly matched because she was like, you know, like kind of like a big deal. But then by the end, like I just like had my eyes on her and we just like flirted the whole time. And then we like the closing show night, we like made out for like the entire night.
Yes.
And then we like never talked again. Ever.
But that's like the perfect showmance.
Yeah.
That's because the showmance doesn't last.
No, it doesn't. Come on.
Because I mean, you and I, again, this is a conversation really only we can have. When you're doing a show together, you're in this like weird bubble of a world that often things, when you take them on dry land, you're like, none.
Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt.
Didn't work.
Yeah.
Outside of Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
No.
How do I know these things?
I know. After that, they were just like, it's just a showmance. Geez. This is just a showmance. Hey, it could, maybe I'll get back together with one of these ladies and it'll be like Ben and J-Lo. Gigli was a showmance.
But it's turned into a lifelong love, it seems.
They reconnected after years.
I keep waiting for like the bottom to drop out. I mean, I'm not sitting there
2 or 3 years
waiting
2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I don't see it going well.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way those are two normal people. You can't be normal and that successful.
No. No.
But so they come together. I guess like the first thing that I would wonder about motivation wise, I guess that's what the whole movie is about being cool or being yourself. Because why is he so concerned? I mean, I guess like to try and take this movie as seriously as you can, he's so caught up in being cool and being the gang leader that he literally can't be himself.
Right. Which is just terrible.
Yeah.
But I think like a lot of them feel that way, or like there is something that they're all sort of like hiding,
dealing with. Yeah, because he is like, even just him liking her and being like excited to see her was like humiliating to him.
Right.
And all of his friends. I mean, I guess he's the leader of the gang.
Right. But who would they think that he should like? Someone like Rizzo? Someone who's like in a gang and...
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm surprised that they weren't even... Is it a little weird that they weren't like, dude, she's beautiful?
Well, right. Because she's gorgeous.
Yeah. Also, shout out R.I.P. to Olivia Newton-John. She just died, but absolute babe and a half back then. Oh my gosh.
Let's get physical.
Absolutely. Sandy is just like, I'm already excited to watch the second half of this.
Oh boy. I mean, me too. She looks great. That outfit.
Let me say it one more time. Tell me, there's a certain thing that you should say in response to that. I'm really excited to see the second half.
I'm really excited to see the second half.
No, you have to say, tell me about it, stud.
Oh, what a missed opportunity. You know,
tell me about it.
I'm not a comedian, Kevin.
Katie, you could be Sandy. You could totally be Sandy. Because then Sandy is the end. Like you get to be the thing at the end, and then you don't have to pull off a whole. You don't have to do it for the whole time. You just have that one moment to be like.
I know, but how do you grapple?
Okay, we gotta wait. We gotta wait.
We're excited. I mean, but how do you grapple as like an actor and a woman? And maybe I'm getting like a little ridiculous here, but like, how do you grapple with like that in your story arc as an actor? To be like, when's that moment that I'm going to change everything about myself? Like, how do you do that and feel good about it every night? Or do you just lose yourself in the world of the story?
Here's the deal.
It's not that complicated. You're just doing Grease.
But also, I guess like we're at the point now where it's so funny because they look so old, but that is like a big deal in high school to like, your friends thinking you're weird is
really upsetting.
I mean, everyone is putting on some sort of facade in high school, especially, I don't know if I'm sure it's universal, but I feel like especially in like American.
Yes. Well, because there's all these special certain groups that you belong to that I feel like you like immediately just identify with this one clique when you start high school. And then you're just like, the music kid or the soccer kid or something like that.
Yeah. Have you seen 21 Jump Street?
The new one?
Yeah. Mm-mm. So good. Very, very funny. And in it, like Channing Tatum like walks in with like backpack with like one thing. And they're like, we don't do that anymore. He like calls someone like a loser for having both on. He's like, no, man, it's bad for your back. He's like, what? And like and then he's like, why are you all nice to each other now? And they make jokes about how like when you go to high school now, not everybody is just calling each other gay for, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what even when everyone was just like doing pranks and they were like, did like the electric like hand thing to Eugene, maybe is that his name?
Yeah,
like, real big nerd. I'm just like, oh, now I don't feel like people were mean like that when
people were mean in my middle school and high school. People were mean.
Now I did have one bully.
Okay.
She was so mean. And she like this was in 6th grade, and she had an older girl from high school write me a letter about how I was a loser because I liked Anne of Green Gables. I still like it.
I was laughing because I didn't realize how much of a loser you were.
We're like, I can't believe I'm doing this podcast.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Turn it off.
But I was also like,
John, did you hear that she likes Anne of Green Gables? What a fucking loser.
I was just still a kid. But, and that girl in the letter, she definitely was like, when you come to the high school, I'm going to beat you up. Like, I think girls that say they're going to beat up other girls, I'm just like,
dude, some of the most vicious fights in our high school were girls.
Yes.
Were crazy.
Oh, I remember one time a fight happening that just was, it was like 2 girls fighting and it was rolling down the hallway and people were running from it.
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, the thing that's depressing now about high school, whenever you see, not, I guess just all of life, whenever fights break out and people get their phones out.
Oh, I know.
It's always depressing. But I've seen people in like classrooms, like just they get their phone out and film it as like crazy fights happen. And I'm always like, I guess there's just cameras now.
I guess.
But yeah, I mean, they're like, I guess the T-Birds, they're all kind of doofuses. At least in the Pink Ladies, they're kind of nice.
Yeah.
Except for Rizzo.
But Rizzo, I think, still kind of
she has a heart.
Has a heart.
We haven't got there yet, though.
Yeah.
Right now, we're like, what's up with this?
I know.
But if you're going to have sex with one of them, Rizzo.
Well, yeah.
Rizzo.
I also wonder, I was thinking this, like there's so much talk about sex and like sexuality. And on the T-Bird side, I think a lot of it is that those boys aren't having sex.
Yeah.
Like Kaneki is, John Travolta probably has, but maybe not.
But even in the scene with Kaneki and Rizzo, the condom breaks and he's like, I've had it since 7th grade. So he's not.
Right. That's true. So maybe that was like their first time.
Yeah. And they're not. Yeah. I think like, yeah, it's funny because they all look like adults. So, but yeah, they're still high schoolers.
There's just this like bravado about like sex.
Yeah.
That I just was like, is that because none of them are having sex? And then is that isolating?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we'll get to that, I think, with Rizzo, if we remember correctly, but is that isolating when then one of them actually does have sex? Like, I think that's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, they're all definitely not, I mean, it is actually fun to like take this movie seriously because it is kind of, but it's kind of a story about like everybody has their fake facade up.
Right.
And even Frenchie okay, great story about Frenchie, by the way.
Okay.
I'm passing out flyers for Broadway shows.
Yes.
And this lady walked up to me and she was like, hi, what's the discount for this? That was my first job in New York. What's the discount for this? And I was like, are you from Ohio? She's like, no, I'm just wondering about this ticket. And I was like, oh, well, this flyer gets you like 2-for-1 tickets. Are you sure? Do you know Barb Doyle by any chance?
Yeah.
She's like, no. And I was like, I just feel like, are you sure? Did you go to Pittsburgh? Because I went to school in Pittsburgh. I'm wondering. And she was like, no. And I was like, I didn't say she was from Greece. You know what I said? I was like, oh my gosh. You were from Shining Time Station.
That's what I was going to say. Thomas the Tank Engine.
Thomas the Tank Engine, because she was.
But that is like right in our age demographic.
And
Shining
Time Station, because she ran the train station, and George Carlin and Ringo Starr were the conductor.
Yes.
And Dee Dee Conn, who plays Frenchie. Yeah, great show.
For Mickey, not for me personally.
Yeah, but it's good. It's a great show. And you could just tell that she'd been recognized before, and she was just trying to be like, no, you have the wrong person. I was like, and then it wasn't until after that I was like, oh my gosh, it was Frenchie from Greece.
But that's so funny that your child brain just like associated it with someone like from your
family.
Family. Yeah,
exactly.
I think because you were a child.
Yeah.
But I always think that's an interesting part about New York, though, because famous people are just kind of like interwoven amongst us in our everyday life. Or I feel like I've seen people like on the train or just like walking around, and I'm like, don't I audition with that girl?
Yeah.
I think she's been at Actors Equity.
Yeah.
And later I'm like, no, she's never stood in line.
Yeah.
For me at all.
I one time thought, I was like, man, that girl's cute. And then I was like, oh, that's, I don't even remember her name now. She's the one that was married to Heath Ledger when he died.
Oh, Michelle Williams.
Yeah, I was like, man, that girl's cute. Oh, that's Michelle Williams.
There she is.
You're not. We're just on the subway. I was like, I wonder what her deal is. Oh, she's a superstar. Never mind.
But I love that she was riding the subway.
Yeah, riding the subway, being all cute. Having a little bob, little blonde bob. So Frenchie, she's going through her own like little crisis. I guess the only two that seem, and then the two. Who were the other? I forget what her name is, but the two that were flirting, the blonde one, and then the real goofy one that does the TV commercial impression.
Oh, Janet?
Janet? Yeah, Janice.
Or is Janice and Marty? Marty's the other girl.
Okay.
She's the one that has all the boyfriends. The Marie.
Marty's cute too.
Marty's cute too.
Yeah, they're all cute.
They're all cute.
Any of the Pink Ladies.
It is funny because really when you think about it, beauty school dropout girl, Frenchie, her problem is way bigger than like Danny and Sandy. I mean, she's like having a real crisis.
She dropped out of high school.
Yeah.
Bad.
She's
for no reason. She's still going and doing things.
Well, right. And you're so close. Just finish it up.
I mean, I think that happens with lots of people now. I think lots of people don't finish high school. And I always find it weird when you get a GED that it's like, why can't you just get the high school diploma?
I also am like, man, I loved high school. Like, I was like so sad for it to be over.
Yeah.
I stayed till the very last minute.
I loved high school. And I was so scared when it ended. And then I got to college. I was like, fuck high school. College is awesome.
And college was fun.
And I loved college. And then when that ended, I was really scared. And then the first year I lived in New York, besides like a few things, I was like, being an adult's fucking awesome.
Oh, I know. Isn't that funny? I feel like I've had that moment so many times where I'm like, man, being an adult is so great.
Yeah.
It is great. And yeah, there's like life stuff that sucks.
Yeah.
Like when your basement floods. But you know what?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I was with Cory. We went over to a restaurant and we knew one of the servers there. Mm-hmm. And so they just brought us like 4 appetizers and then a bottle of wine and just like winked. And then the bill came and it was like $20 for the both of us. And then we just tipped them like $70 or something.
I love those New York nights.
I was like, dude, being an adult's fucking awesome. That doesn't have like, I was like, we know people that like can do this for us and we were planning on just spending, and it was so fun.
You had this treat. I used to say that to my students that I would teach all the time and be like, you know where you're at right now is so great. Like live it up, be a kid. But being an adult is so fun. And I should have been like, especially for you, because you're never gonna have to worry about money.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's like a good thing in life when you're not like being nostalgic for the old days all the time, you know?
I know. I mean, I think like a healthy level of looking back and being like, that was so fun. I don't know. I just always have kind of felt like the best days are what I'm living right now. Man, we're really having a nice.
We are having a nice talk.
Really nice talk.
Well, part of it is because we're worried about the T-birds.
I know.
And we're worried about the pink ladies because we're just like, listen, in order to have a good adult life, you need to finish your education.
I know.
You need to, please don't get pregnant.
I know. Just like stop smoking.
Stop smoking.
So much. I just think you need to think a little bit past high school.
Yeah.
Like Nikki had a job over the summer and the rest of them couldn't believe it. Like,
yeah,
they're all going to have a job very soon. They're
all really obsessed with fleeting things like even, listen, you're going to lose your hair. I was Kaniki. As I was Kaniki in high school, my hair was already thinning.
Oh.
Okay. And that just taught, you know what that taught me though? You need to work on your inner life.
It's true.
Because you can't have your entire, I mean, think about it. Their entire identities in their hair.
Yes. The pushover. Oh gosh. I love that in the montage in the beginning when they all wake up and they just have so much hair.
So much hair.
But what would their hair look like before it was all greased up and with the curl?
I mean,
man, that style's not really come back.
It's just too much. Like
it's too much work.
Yeah. It's too much work. It's too much pomade. Like that stuff is like pomade now is people put like a little wax for like molding their hair or whatever.
Right.
Back then, like that shit must have been nasty.
Oh gosh. And all their moms were like washing their sheets and being like, oh, this is just gross. And that's just from the pomade, not even. I know. As a mother of a son, I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay. So 2002, Hoover High School.
Oh my gosh.
So they say in Grease Lightning, they say, go Grease Lightning, quarter mile. It's a real pussy wagon. They say it's a real pussy wagon. They say the chicks will cream.
I know.
Which is crazy. This is a saucy movie. So they were like, you aren't allowed to say that. Because in the one of the biggest differences, in the movie, Danny sings Grease Lightning. In the show, stage show, Kaniki sings it.
Right.
And on one of the nights I said, Pussy Wagon and cream after I was told not to.
Wait, you just did it one night?
Well, because I couldn't do it on Thursday and Friday, and Saturday was when the big performance was, and then Sunday is the matinee.
Okay. It's not for a matinee crowd to say
It's not for a matinee crowd. And I got a Saturday detention. I got in big trouble.
But I'm envisioning you like in the dressing room, like looking at yourself in the mirror. And being like, Kevin, you're about to go to college and you're about to study musical theater.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess in another year because you still had to play.
Yeah.
But you were just like psyching yourself up. Was it like that?
I was like, what would a T-bird do?
Oh, a T-bird would just say pussy everywhere.
Pussy wagon, pussy. The chicks will cream. What did I say? I think the chicks will dream. They changed it to.
It's so funny when they when you have to change it like that, and you're like, this is stupid.
And then the other thing they said I was supposed to say real shaggin' wagon.
Oh, but that's still. I mean, I guess it's less offensive.
It is better, but not if you're British.
Well, right. But it also still saying like this is a car for sex.
Yeah. Pussy wagon.
Pussy wagon sounds better.
Yeah. It's a real pussy wagon. And to be honest, do people have sex in their cars anymore? I guess we live in New York, so I don't think about it.
Right. I don't think we would because we don't have cars.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they do. I bet teenagers do.
I will say this. The one thing about New York, if you're not close to either one of your apartments, it's a real not great city for you just have to plan.
But then you can get like a long cab ride.
Yeah, totally.
Those are the best.
Yeah, totally. But then I guess when you have a car, you can kind of be like, let me drive you home, and then like,
oh sure, I see what you're saying.
Like if you're like at dinner on a date or something, be like, would you like to get a cab? I mean, that you still do that. I've done that, but
you're right. You can't like invite someone over with the pretense of like, do you want to just like,
you want to take a 40-minute cab and just have a drink,
Right.
Yeah.
That's so true. Oh gosh. I mean, that was John and I when we started dating because I lived in Astoria and he lived in Brooklyn.
I mean, that's a downfall of a lot of.
I know. Most people don't make it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
But so that's beautiful.
I know. It's love.
Well, listen, we still have a whole nother half of this.
Oh, I'm excited.
So far, the numbers we've done have been Grease. Grease is the word. Summer Lovin'. Mm-hmm. Greased Lightning.
Look at me, I'm Sandra D.
Look at me, I'm Sandra D.
Hopelessly Devoted, which is also like a great song.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
Oh, because wait, she sings that about Danny because she's just deeply in love with him.
Yeah, she's like, there's nowhere to hide since you pushed my love aside.
Well, here's the other thing that the challenge for them, that is kind of a challenge for any relationship that makes it, is like, it is kind of an interesting story because it's like, do you really care about this person or did you just care about like the little romance that you have?
Well, right.
Because they kind of do have to, it is kind of in a mature Dr. Phil type way. It's like, well, are you going to make sacrifices?
Are you?
Because this isn't just a dream world. It's not summer anymore.
Oh my gosh.
You've got responsibilities. If you care for Sandra, you need to listen to what she needs.
I mean, I think they could have used that.
Yeah.
They need help.
And he'd be like, hey, Dr. Phil, listen, look at his hair. She's like, are you going to take this seriously or not, Danny? He's like, I mean, I'm just saying, look at the stash this guy's got. You know what I mean?
Oh, gosh. I really want to see that. I want to see them on Dr. Phil.
Danny and Sandy on Dr. Phil. Well, we're going to go, we have another episode on our Patreon. We haven't got a review for a while, maybe because all of you that listen have reviewed us, but please go to iTunes or podcast app or Spotify and give us a nice review. We hope you're enjoying this special episode of Kevin and Katie.
I know I am.
The Pink Ladies.
Oh, the Pink Ladies.
And Grease, this next episode, we're going to finish it up, is on our Patreon. Go to our Patreon. We have the other two episodes of When Harry Met Sally. We have Clueless. We have You've Got Mail and 10 Things I Had About You.
Oh, just so many
if you
bangers.
Want to double your Broadshaw Boys content output, go to our Patreon. because you know what? It actually really helps us too. We're able to buy new equipment, and we always put that money back into the show. So please go support us at Patreon. Katie?
Yes.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Let's go watch more Grease.
Bye.
Later, taters.
The Bradshaw Boys stars Cory, Kevin James Doyle, and Jon Sieber. The show is produced by me, Jeremy Balon, and narrated by Katie Sieber. This podcast is part of the Seltzer Kings Network. Check out all their great podcasts at seltzerkings.com. You can find the boys on their socials at The Bradshaw Boys or on their website at bradshawboys.com. And as always, if you see them in the street, tip your glass. Thanks for listening.
It's not going to be Grease.